Welcome to Doctor Who review of episode 9 and 10, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. We have the lovely Zia here with us.
Hi! I forgot how good these episodes are until I watched them. Oh my God.
I mean, I've heard that
Again.
this is Mark's favorite episode, 2 weeks ago before watching, and then you pumped the tires of these episodes. You're like, they're great. Even Gary's like, they're in my top 10. So it's like, ooh, so many people saying they're good. And I mean, let's just say my mind was blown.
Yeah, they do not disappoint. This is one of those ones where they do such a good job of making it creepy and then having really good writing. And then also the ending is it's just great. So many good moments. And Captain Jack, you get to meet Captain Jack.
I know. I wish you saw my face every time he came up. I was like,
I know. You can't not fall in love with him because he's just the best. Because he's just so charismatic and captivating. And John Barrowman is such a good actor for that role.
He fit the role really, really, really well. Just like Eccleston fits the doctor role really well.
Yes.
And then we also have Mark the cyborg here with the two puppies, Rocky and Jojo. Welcome.
Hello. If I mute, it is probably because the puppies are growling, and if I turn my camera off, I might be crying because this episode emotionally affects me every time I see it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, did you cry during Father's Day more or less?
It's been a while since I watched it, and the last time I watched Doctor Who from beginning to end, especially aside from just the random odd episode I'd caught because someone told me to watch it again, I haven't really seen it in like 10 years. And I remember it being basically my favorite episode because it really, really caught me off guard at the very end, especially. And and it still gets me.
Before we start, this is a good question. Base veteran, wish my wife would watch Doctor Who. Tell me your secrets, Mark.
I did a little bit of social chess by talking to Zia about Doctor Who.
He did. He's like, get her to watch it. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It can't be your suggestion. It has to be someone else's that watches it.
Everybody, she doesn't listen to any of my suggestions anymore because I've
listened to some.
No, honey, you don't, but it's okay because I suggest too many things. You don't have enough time in your life to get to them. I get it.
Near Automata, I'm gonna start in like a month.
Yeah, honey, I know. I'm not criticizing you. I'm trying to explain what happens. That's all. It's fine. You've done nothing wrong. But the thing is, because I've recommended her so many things that she hasn't seen growing up, because she didn't see pretty much the most basic of action movies and stuff from the 80s and 90s, she's totally out to lunch on all of them, which is fine, honey. It's just not how you were raised, and that's okay. But the thing is, I have so many things to recommend her that the only way for one of those recommendations to get enough power to get through her filter is for it to be reinforced by other people.
And, so if you hear it enough from enough people, you're like, all right, okay, this one I'll move up to the top of the very long list.
It is a very long list because I actually started making a Notion board of all the movies and TV shows people have recommended me, and it took a really long time to input them all.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not volume of people though, it's just the right person. And I knew because you were on FNT and you mentioned that you really like Doctor Who, and I know Doctor Who's something that me and others have recommended to her before, and I think you two get along really well and are good on camera together, so I thought that it would be cool if you had a show where you could talk about it, and then it would give me the perfect excuse to watch Doctor Dances again and cry like I'm
yeah.
Just Mark watching Xray Girl crying, and Xray Girl's like, why are you looking at me and crying? I'm trying to enjoy this episode.
That's what husbands do, I guess.
It is.
All right. So I guess let's get into this episode. I never thought a phrase like, "Are you my mummy?" would be so scary.
Right, but it's just immediately right off the bat, it's creepy. Like that, as soon as you get there, I mean, first of all, it's also during World War II and during the blitzes in England or London. which is already just like a terrifying and sad time. And then you add that whole aspect into it of sort of this supernatural, but you find out it's not supernatural. There's like a scientific reason behind it,
Mhm.
super advanced scientific reason behind it, which is actually such a cool explanation. But yeah, just the way that it sets the whole episode up is already creepy. And I love
Yep.
the way they set up Captain Jack. That also is like getting right into it. He zeroes right in on Rose's butt.
Oh my god. Okay, so the whole interaction, so getting on that her being like her nurturing self, she's like, I want to save this kid. That makes sense for her. She goes and tries to save him. This rope from somewhere. I just thought it was so silly. She tries to climb up it, and when it starts moving, because I don't think there was a hint at what time they were in, right? At that moment.
I don't think so. Yeah, they just saw I guess you could look at the planes and be like, those are World War II planes if you knew.
But I don't know.
Jazz music. Well, I mean, though that music can be played in any era, I suppose. But I guess
The jazz music,
Yeah.
from the little speakeasy type thing that was there. I guess it was
Right.
speakeasy.
And girls can still dress like that if they're performing. I think it's a very like sophisticated way. So it wasn't. I just remember thinking, I don't know when they are. So I thought that was a great way to kind of introduce it. And then she's on this rope on the blimp, and there's planes flying everywhere, bombing the place. I'm like, oh,
was
she
a
gets
good
herself in
moment.
trouble. Of
Could I
course.
talk about that for a minute? The most underrated horror aspect of this pair of episodes is Rose being in the sky during a German air raid wearing a Union Jack.
Right.
Yes.
Pilot being like, is that like a chick with a British flag?
Like, what's happening?
That's bizarre. And then I'd keep flying.
So great.
Yep. And then when Mr. Jack, I forgot his last name, Harkness,
Captain Jack Harkness.
he just comes in with his stasis beam and saves her from falling, and I'm just like, oh, hero already. I'm liking this.
Hero, he's all charming, he's all smiles, he's
Flirty.
yeah, super flirty. He's really into it. But I still think like one of my favorite things about this is even though she's clearly taken with Captain Jack, she still has her thing with the doctor.
Oh,
That-
absolutely.
It's so cute. I love it so much.
I was actually shocked because when he did the paper business thing, I was like, oh, is he technically a Time Lord then?
He's not a Time Lord. He's a human that's in the future, but he worked for the the time
Euro.
Oh my god, I already forgot.
I don't know. Maybe Marc would know. You're talking, but you're muted.
Are you talking about Torchwood?
No, Captain Jack.
Captain Jack.
He's
Doesn't he eventually end up in Torchwood? But
he does. Yeah.
He calls himself
temporal agency thingy.
Yes,
time
that's
agency.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's not a Time Lord, but he's a human. He is a human. Just
that
way in the
can't
future.
die. Either.
Well,
okay.
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 Yeah. We'll
I'm
get
not
to
looking
that.
at chat anymore.
very Doctor Who answer. That's complicated.
It's a complicated answer.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
the answer is not yes or no. Exactly.
You'll see.
Okay. So he's this very charismatic, handsome, sweeps her off her feet, and she catches her when she faints, hits on her, but not too creepily. Like it's very like I called it alpha energy, but like not too pushy.
Yeah, no, totally. I get it. You know why? Because he has that confidence of knowing. And because he does get around so much, he does well for himself. It's like that confidence of knowing that he'll get who he gets. And if someone's not interested, he's fine with it. So he's in like where he's there. And if she's into it, great. If not, he's still having a good time.
Yeah, he's available He's available and charming for everybody, but
Yes.
if you're not interested, it's totally fine. He'll still be really cool to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's what makes him such a great and endearing character. Like you can't not love him.
Hmm. And I love how even the doctor was saying how he is very flexible.
Yes. He is what is it, a 25th century man? Is that what he called him? Or
I don't
I'm so
remember.
bad with that kind of stuff. My memory's I watched it today.
But yeah, the banter between him and the doctor was fantastic. This like love triangle almost, it's like it is and it isn't a love triangle.
I think that Rose and the doctor have a bond that no matter how many guys Rose finds cute, there's something special between her and the doctor that she's not going to get with anyone else.
No, and we kind of touched on this last week where she didn't really grow up with the dad, and I feel like the doctor anyway, he had dad energy in this episode clearly. Oh
Yes.
my god.
Yes, but also like
Go to my
jealous
room, man.
energy too. What was that, Mark? Sorry.
Tell me to go to my room again. Be cross with me.
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
my
what,
god,
yeah.
right?
He was
Oh
like,
sorry.
go to
yes.
your room. I'm cross with you. And I'm like, okay.
Like,
What I
excuse me.
That part was mostly great though, because even though he was so intense in that scene and he became scary for a moment, he ends it with, well, thank God that worked. That would have been terrible last words.
Yes.
I just love how they jump from one emotion to like his whimsical being like, it's a laugh now. It's all good.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Also, it's just crazy that he always comes this close to death and then does something and it works. And he's even just like, whew, thank God that worked.
Yeah. He's like, I'm amazed that I figured that out.
Otherwise,
That is
the whole
such
universe
a
is ended.
that is such a human thing to do. Well, I mean, I guess he's not really a human, but well, we can relate to it being human because we do a lot of things that we don't know if it'll work, and if it all comes together, that's great. Because
All the time.
a
All the
lot
time.
of shows, those girl bosses, they're just like, I know what to do. This will get it fixed, and then you're like, well, that was kind of boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch
yes.
that.
No, with this, it's like the stakes are higher. It's exciting. It's whimsical. It's so much fun. That's what I love about this kind of stuff that I don't really get from
Modern day entertainment.
yeah, and more like real life shows. Not to say I don't enjoy those sometimes too, but to me it's just like boring watching someone go to work.
Yeah, and the episode has kind of like a subplot to the plot as well. You know, we got the love triangle, we got the stuff happening with Nancy and her brother, and then it just all together blends into this beautiful story. Like there's so many intricate little details that they weave into there. Like the whole thing with the blaster and the screwdriver, the sonic one and the banana, and how that's part of that story. Even the nano genes and the ships, the different types of ships. It's insane how they plot the story to come to that moment when everything comes together.
Mm-hmm.
I was
yes.
so shocked.
Yes. And isn't the explanation so cool and so much different than you thought it was going to be throughout the whole episode?
Oh, absolutely. I was just like, okay, so he conned them and he was trying to get money. Sure, that makes sense. And
yeah.
And they just somehow all of it accumulated to this big moment when they find out everything, or the doctor figures out everything.
Yes. Yeah. It takes him getting on Captain Jack's ship and seeing the nanogenes. And he's like, wait a second. And it sort of just all hits him. And I love the way he does that. It just shows how brilliant his mind is. Because that's not something that, I mean, maybe someone who's good at writing and thinking could have predicted it, but I couldn't have. Like if I, watching it through the first time, I was like, oh, wow, that's such a creative explanation as to what happened.
Yeah.
And what I loved also so much with this episode is I know we're like jumping around a whole bunch,
Absolutely.
but they're kind of the two episodes are technically one episode.
Yeah.
So it's but I love that the doctor gets his happy ending. He gets a day where everybody lives and he's so excited about that because as you've already seen in this show, that's not always the case. People die a lot and they don't have any qualms with killing people off, which I think is great because that's realistic. That's what would happen. There's not always going to be a happy ending. And then when you get one, it hits so much harder and you feel it so much more. And the doctor's so excited.
Yeah, that was the most extremely happy I've ever seen him, like
Right?
maniacally excited to have had such a success.
And he's dancing.
And
he
he's dancing.
danced with Rose. That's
Oh my
so
God.
cute.
That was,
I
it
love
was
that.
so cute. Oh my
It
God.
was.
Because I didn't expect him to do like, they were doing the waltz at first, and then they were doing, I don't know what that second dance was, like a jive. Was it a jive? I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like a jive or a cha-cha. Yeah, I've got no idea. I don't know
Yeah.
dances. But yeah, that sounds right.
And it was very sweet because they've been kind of like flirting about this. He's like, I know how to dance. And then when they were like about to maybe dance, they get interrupted, and you're like, Jack, how dare you?
How dare you save their life, damn it. They were having a moment. It was really cute.
And then it's like, oh, but he also could be Rose's love interest. So I don't want him to see him possibly dancing with, or her dancing with Doctor Who or the doctor.
I know. You also, like, as much as I love Rose and the doctor together, you just want to see her hook up with Jack just because.
Someone
He's
younger,
very charming.
more.
He's very charming. Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
he's very handsome.
I just, when he showed the piece of paper and saying he was like whatever he was pretending to be, and he's like, it says here that you're single and you work out.
I want a piece of paper. Like, if I ever find myself single again, hopefully not. But like, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need a piece of paper that is terrifying.
Why are you showing us this?
I didn't realize that would come right up, but I would just wanted to add it to the queue so I could show it later. But because you mentioned the nano genes, my theory is that Hideo Kojima, creator of the Metal Gear Solid games, a game which Xray Girl has seen pretty much all of, but doesn't remember any of. There's a big almost meme about the series that in the fourth game, which we actually did play through, every single loose thread of the game, almost the whole franchise, is tied up with it was nano-machines that were responsible for everything that ended up being supernatural. And it almost became a meme that people would say nano-machines with like the Ancient Aliens guy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that is in Metal Gear Solid 5 is the character Psycho Mantis, who in the first game is a psychic character that can actually read your mind by reading the save games on your memory card and saying that, I see you like Castlevania, because it sees that you've played that. And he comes back in the fifth one, and it's a little boy. Because the fifth game takes place in 1984, whereas the rest of the series takes place in the 2000s. And it just made me think, I was like, oh, I think Hideo Kojima really likes Doctor
Who.
And
That's some similarities.
Got him right, because like you got the creepy little boy in the gas mask who you don't really know if he's an enemy or like is he trying to warn you about something. And it's I thought that reminded me of a thing that I could actually add that I'm willing to bet that even though Xray Girl kind of knows, she wouldn't have thought about. But it's okay.
Definitely.
That's my rule.
For sure. We got Bird Up for $2 says, are you my mummy?
So
Look
creepy.
Thank you for that, by the way. And Deranged Lunatic, aka DL, for $1.99 says the first Doctor had a granddaughter named Susan.
All right, we're learning
Like
about
the
some
first
classic
ever,
Who.
Not New Who, classic Who.
That's what I'm assuming he means.
Uh-huh.
Is she part Time Lord?
Sorry, that was coming up. I had to let that one out.
You've been hanging around Britney too much, haven't you?
Oh, I've been doing this. It's so funny. Everybody always does that. I've been long before I even knew who Britney was. I've always been like this.
Girl does that too.
Yeah, and everybody's like, Britney. And I'm like, I didn't know that she burps so much like that, but we've got to have a burp off at one point.
Yeah.
But hers, I don't think she can control. Can you control yours?
No, it's just when I drink seltzer, they come out.
Oh, yeah.
Where Britney certainly can control them is in her videos, which are edited, and she definitely leaves a bunch in for comedic effect. And
Nice. Nice. Got to have them for comedic effect. That's what burps are for, and farts.
That's also so when the burp happens, it's like, whoa, okay.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I want these nano genes. I think they're pretty cool. I
Yeah,
don't
me
think
too. I
will
want them to
actually
fix stuff.
will they actually happen? Because like that would be amazing. You just go in a hospital and then they'll done.
Maybe at some point in the future. I wonder if that's something that they'll, I mean, probably not in our lifetime, but I wonder if that's something that future scientists will actually legitimately be able to figure out. Just sort of like this intuitive little nano machines that can go in and just fix everything. God, that would be
Like
cool.
cool and creepy all at the same time because these little robots are inside you and hopefully don't go on the fritz. But
Yeah,
from
that
what we
would be
saw, it was
bad.
good. From what we
Yeah.
saw, it was good.
Yeah, except when they tried to cure the little boy who got bombed with the gas mask on and
Yeah.
then turned everyone also into
The little boy with
the
the
little boy
gas
with the
mask.
gas mask on. It was both super like creepy and so sad when you start to realize what happened. And then when they figure out that the doctor figures out that I already forgot her name, but she was
Nancy.
actually Nancy was actually the mom and not the sister. And you're like, oh my God. And it's so she's taking care of all those kids. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it again.
Yeah. Well, it
Wow.
was very interesting because from the very beginning, you kind of had this idea that Nancy was a very motherly, nurturing character. Like she
Mhm.
seemed very young and she had this like band of children she was taking care of. And what was funny is even though they're being kind of vagrants and stealing things and going into homes and eating people's food, she was still telling them, chew with your mouth closed, be proper, take only one. And even when the doctor, when he appeared at the table and took two pieces, she's like, nope, I'm taking your plate away. I'm like, that is very maternal.
Yes, she has rules and she's making sure that these little heathen kids are not growing up too heathen like, and I like that.
Oh,
I was
I didn't do that.
stop sharing. I'm
Okay. And then I guess that should have been my hint because I actually did write in my notes Nancy being maternal despite stealing.
Despite stealing, yeah, that's so funny. And I know the first. I know watching the second time, I knew what was coming, but I do remember the first time I didn't know that was coming. So they did do a good job.
It was
Yeah.
just it was just long enough since the last time I'd seen it that I forgot what the specific circumstances of it were. So it actually did kind of hit me hard, even though you sort of see it coming when the doctor asks, he says, "You've lost someone, haven't you?" And then she talks about Teddy and it being the "Are you my mommy?" I'm like, okay, so the Teddy's obviously the kid in the it's Teddy, right? Teddy?
Jamie. Jamie.
Jamie?
Jamie. It is
Oh,
Jamie.
what was I
Yeah.
saying? Anyways, clearly I'm stupid, but but when she says the brother's name and says that was my little brother and he just followed me one day and he got killed by this thing that fell from the sky or like whatever the story
Yeah.
is, it really did kind of make sense to me. But it's not until the doctor makes her face it and it's not like, hey, you've been lying to yourself and been lying to everyone about the Jamie not being your brother but being your child. But I think that the time period really does make it seem that she was probably very, very conflicted about it because I think she wanted nothing more than to be like, I'm his mom. It's
Yes.
something that she had to hide from everybody because it wouldn't be socially accepted at that time for like a 16-year-old single mother to really be a thing. Like saying, no, just mom went away for a year and mom and dad went away for a year and now they're back and they have this kid and it's my little brother. But she's just like, no, you're my baby. Like you're I want to be able to tell not only everyone, but you. I want to tell you that I'm your mom. And I can only imagine that like him dying. Can you imagine he's never gonna know that I'm his mom and that I love him like a son, you know? It's a heavy episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. There are a lot of really intense themes there, and that's definitely one of them because you know that that's something. I mean, geez, even as far back as like the 60s and the or as close up as like the 60s and the 70s, if someone got pregnant, they would send her away to like a convent or whatever for a year, like a teenage pregnancy, and then sort of make them give up the baby. And you have to imagine how hard that would be for someone
Oh,
going
that'd
through
be
that.
so hard because I think most women, I won't say all, that give birth would just want to hold their kid and love them. And if I heard, "Are you my mommy?" all the time, and I had pretended to be like the sister, that would like break my heart. And you could tell that she was having a lot of conflicted moments every time the kid showed up.
Yes, well, yeah, because that was her son, but also he was going around and like she didn't know why, but turning everyone into him. And so it's like this love and sadness mingled with fear, which has to be so confusing.
And like it's bringing it back to like the very beginning of the episode when the doctor gets to his or the TARDIS and it's ringing and you're like, I've never heard that before. And she's like, don't pick it up. I promise you won't like it. And he does. And you're just like, like that is freaking creepy. It's kid that can call.
It's even creepier that he was like, this phone isn't even connected to anything. This doesn't work. How are you calling me on
I
this?
thought it was Rose at first. I was like, oh, she's calling him. He's like, save me. I was like,
air during a blitz.
You need to do something. Like, seriously.
Why didn't she think to call him?
I don't know.
Could have. I love that she like doesn't even go to get the doctor. She just runs. She's like, "Oh, there's a kid over here," and he's like already inside. Yeah, he doesn't hear her. She doesn't go back to be like, "Hey, we got to go help this kid." She just runs off to this kid.
Gone,
oh my
girl.
God. And then, like you said, yeah, she grabs the rope to say she doesn't know. The rope just drops down. She doesn't know what it's connected to. She didn't even look.
She should see. I mean, smart people would be like, "What is this connected to?" Okay, maybe I can. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be able to climb up a rope. Okay.
No, I don't think I would be able to. Although I am working on doing pull-ups, and I'm on the assisted machine. I have 25 pounds on it, so that means I'm 25 pounds away from doing one full unassisted body weight. Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm working on it.
That's
nice.
On the assisted pull-up machine, the weight that you set it at is actually the weight it subtracts from you.
From you. Yeah, exactly. So I can almost pull up. What is it? What's 112 minus 25?
Xray Girl.
Oh my God, my brain is so fried right now.
Like 85 pounds ish.
87.
Not even guess, because if I'm wrong, she'll be upset at me.
Okay. But anyways, sorry, I'm being put on the spot here. We got calculators in our pocket.
That's right. I know. That meme always makes me laugh when they're like, back in the day, teachers would tell you, you're not going to be able to walk around with a calculator in your pocket, and everybody's laughing now.
But what you should do, if you haven't done this yet, is do negatives. So you start from the top and then just slowly, as slow as you can, release down if you're not doing it already. I heard those are really good for learning how to do pull-ups.
They are. They're good. My coach is helping me. Yeah, that's one of my goals is to do a pull-up, and another one is to crush a watermelon with my thighs. So we're working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I'm closer to that one than the pull-up.
And there's girls, we just have that lower body strength, and our upper bodies are freaking useless.
Start doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You'll get to that a lot faster. You also learn.
Also true. Also true.
So, Mark, can you crush a watermelon between your thighs?
Honestly, probably. My quads are ridiculous.
Oh my God. There
you go.
Nothing going on below the knees, kind of on either side.
Oh my God.
The robot part on one side.
It's just everything above the knees that matters to me. It's fine.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know. Yes. Yeah. Second of all, crushing a watermelon, that's all that matters. Like, you don't need
all that matters in life. You can't crush a watermelon. What are you even doing?
What are you doing with your life?
Adductors, the hip adductors.
This was a requirement when we first met. I was like, if you can't crush a watermelon, we can't
I'm not
date.
even going to date you.
The funniest way to remember the difference between hip adductors and hip abductors?
Adding is bringing in.
No. I said the funny way.
Oh, I don't know.
Remember,
I didn't know there was a funny way.
That abductors are going out because it's like the aliens are abducting you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. See, I told you it was funny.
That was a chip joke.
Such a dad joke. Okay.
It is.
I'm good with money.
All right, let's see. Let me think what else was like a really great moment. that flirting that happened when they were on top of the ship with Rose and Jack.
Right.
Oh my God.
So much chemistry.
He's just like, well, I don't know how he knew about Mickey. That was weird. Is he like a mind reader?
I think it's because
psychic paper.
Yeah, it's because
she put it on the psychic paper.
Isn't it that you can't help but not with some things, right?
Yeah, like that was sort of because when he tried to show her, it was what was on his mind, which was that he was single and he worked out.
Oh, I thought he purposely did that. Oh my God.
He might have.
He might have, but he was certainly thinking about it.
It was when he was talking to her about her already knowing what the psychic paper was. She's like, I know. It writes down what you're thinking. She's like, now it says you work out and you're available or whatever it said. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry about that.
So for her, she's like, I kind of have a boyfriend, but I also kind of
don't. I'm available or very available. And they're just like, Rose. Okay, so we actually have defined it at this point without defining it purposely that she is up for adventures.
All we know is poor Mickey.
Poor Mickey.
I mean, they should have officially broke up when she left. I mean, I feel like they both know, they just don't want to say it.
They have one of those relationships, I feel like, where it's clearly not something serious, but they like each other enough that it's like when you're in town. We hook up when you're in town.
The old boyfriend from your hometown.
High school sweetheart.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
And you're not with anyone, so hey, we're together when I'm in town. Oh, you're going away again? Yeah. When are you going to be back? Later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going off with this handsome time traveler. I'm gonna see you when I see you.
See you later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would freak out if I was on top of a invisible ship. That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
And the whole idea of parking your ship close to something you can remember was such a great line. Because realistically, the Doctor has been parking the TARDIS in some very just unremarkable places.
Random back alleys and frickin'
the
God
road.
only knows where. I would lose. I have to say, if I was with him, I would lose the TARDIS constantly because I'd be like, what street did you park on? Like, I don't even know. It took me 3 months to remember where I lived in relation to the grocery store when I first moved.
Oh my God. I love that cars have the beeper where you can find it so much easier.
Yes. Just walk around the parking lot beeping it.
My first car, I remember I went to the mall, and the mall is like, a parkade of like 4 levels. And I'm just like, I got lost. I don't know which floor it's on. I don't even know where. And then, of course, it's a popular color, popular make.
So they're everywhere. And also, do you ever notice too, like whatever car you buy, you suddenly see everyone driving it? Yeah. And you're just like, why? I never saw this car before. Why does suddenly everyone have it now? Just because you notice it. So yeah, when you try to find your own car, it's like,
Yep.
Be any of these.
Yeah. There was also another part that I was like dying. Oh, when Rose was pretending to be a doctor or a Time Lord.
She was like, I have to talk to my colleague.
But companion. And he's like,
companion, that's right.
And he's like, you have a companion? How disappointing. And I'm like, I
was ready to be like, I don't have a companion. I have a husband.
Yeah. You know what's funny? All I could think was like, if Zia went on an adventure like this, because we've talked about it, would you do this? And you're like, hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, Zia would probably be like, Same thing. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Hi, Jack. What's up, Jack?
If that man rescued me from a Zephyr or a blimp in the middle of a blitz, my heart would be his forever. At least for a little while.
Yeah. For a while until, you meet the next one.
Until the next one comes along. Rose is 19. She's out. This is strictly single 19-year-old Zia.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I would do this because I was like very careful and I didn't like, I don't think I was that adventurous at 19. Maybe 25, 26.
That's where things started to take off. Yeah.
Yes. When I was like, here's money and the world. Marc, you're muted again.
I said, do you want me to go for like 5 minutes so you can tell the real story?
What real story?
I don't know. I feel like you might be holding back on my account, but I appreciate it for what that's worth.
I wouldn't go on an adventure like that by myself with a strange man at 19.
Okay.
I would.
Oh
I
my
was
God.
not a careful 19-year-old. I was a freaking. That's not true. My sister was a wild child. I was a lot calmer than she was, but I was definitely like up for adventures. A lot of it had to do with alcohol, though.
Mm. Oh, hey, Rocky.
Puppy is so
There was
frickin' cute.
more. There was more. There's always more. When they went to I guess it was a hospital,
Yes.
and the doctor was kind of walking through there, and that's when we learned about the same injuries, the mask, how people change. By the way, that CG, even though it was so horrible,
It was still creepy.
it was still so creepy, and it was
So
so good. It was
It
so good.
was. It was. And that is, you're right. It's not good CG, but it's still like, I don't know. I don't know if you're just getting used to it in the show or if it's just we're getting into it a little bit. It's still somehow better than any of the CG in any of the previous episodes. And it still does such a good job of getting the point across of how horrific this is.
I think it's timing, because
Yeah.
when he's talking to Dr. Constantine, and Dr. Constantine is slowly like dwindling away, like his energy, and you could tell, and the doctor's going like,
show you the hand, the cut on
yeah,
the hand.
the little scar on the hand, and we've seen the scar on the kid's hand, and then you go to all the different patients. He's like, collapsed lung, hit to the head, the scar, and the mask is fused to the skin. I thought that was wild, by the way. That is creepy.
Yes.
So when you see that finally come to fruition and how they changed the timing of how all the revealing of every detail of that sickness was absolutely insane. Because if it comes out of your mouth, ew.
Yeah. Well, and then when Captain Jack says it's not a gas mask, it's flesh and bone. So it's like coming from their body and turning into this, like, it's just a part of them.
Skin.
Yeah, it's like their skin. It's so creepy and weird. Yeah, that was, God, such creative writing. They did such a good job with these
I would
episodes.
never have thought that's how the mask was produced. Today's writing, who knows what they would have like envisioned.
Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. I don't even want to know.
Well, actually, they would probably glorify the person bombing them.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, they had their reasons.
And it was really funny how the family, when the sirens went off, was like running around. They're like, screw the Germans, we're having dinner. Why is it always around dinner time?
Yes. Oh, and I love when they came back and caught Nancy, and Nancy was like, I've been watching you. I know your secret. She's like, you're going to give me the rest of your food. I know it's you that's been running around with the butcher. That was bad.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, that was
When
badass.
she schooled him. That was,
Mhm.
it felt so satisfying, because realistically at that time, it was really hard to get food and whatnot in the
And they
house.
looked
And meat.
incredibly well fed. Like, oh
Oh.
no. So some homeless kids came and ate your food. You'll be fine, fatty.
Yeah.
So
the little
annoyed.
cheater. You'll
Yeah. It's not like you're starving. Relax. God.
And actually, when that little kid came out, when he caught her, the son, I actually thought it was her brother, and I was freaking. I'm like, why did he come back? I don't understand. What?
Right.
What? And then, of
Right.
course, it ended up not being him. Thank God.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're definitely, oh my God. And then the part where they lock her in the room with the soldier too. Oh man. They're like
The tension.
And then when you come in and she's singing to him, because I think she does on some level realize that Jamie was going around looking for her as the mommy. So she I think stepped into that mom role really well. And when she started singing that song, oh my goodness. Yeah. That was such a good part.
Yeah. We have Andrew Matthews for 2 British pounds says, did you guess her age? And then I think panel. No, I didn't. I thought she was like 15, 16 years old.
Same.
So she looked like super duper young. Mark?
It's a little hard to tell in TV shows because you also don't know, are they playing the age that they're supposed to look, or is this a 30-year-old who's supposed to be playing a 15-year-old? That happened a lot in that era. It's kind of the deal with shows like Buffy and stuff. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar was like 26, I think, in season 1 of Buffy, when I guess she was supposed to be 14, 15 or something.
Look the age though, because she was like rail thin.
Well, I mean, yeah, she's small. Like she has that going for her. But I think, I think I speak for all the men in the audience when I say Sarah Michelle Gellar was a bit more womanly than the average 16-year-old, I think.
Right. When you really look, although I know that's changing now, but I think maybe, back in the early 2000s and 90s, you look at a 16-year-old and you think like, oh my God, they look so young versus someone who, like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who's clearly in her 20s.
Well, look at Riverdale. All the boys are so freaking buff.
Right.
They don't look like they're in high school.
No, not even close.
I think I kind of want to defend that practice though, because I think especially with the type of stories that you tell that generally take place in a high school, especially if it's not a show directed at, I don't know, like football players or something, where it's all like Friday Night Lights, I almost called it tights. But even those shows, there'll be a lot of relationship content because a lot of people date people in high school. That is something that happens, and there's stories to tell about it. But I think it's a lot less creepy for the audience when there's just kind of a non-spoken verbal agreement between us and the producers. It's like, we know they're 25. We're pretending they're 15 for this story. But
I agree.
And that way, if we find like an intimate scene sexy, we don't have to feel terrible about it.
I actually agree with you. It can get creepy real quick.
Yeah. And one of the problem with a lot of stories that are taking place in high school now that I see,
there's so much sex in it.
They look like kids now much more often. Like the Stranger Things kids look like children that are in the appropriate age that they're supposed to be. They don't look like they're 26-year-olds playing kids that are going into high school,
But they did a good job with that, keeping like nothing was ever creepy. Everything was kind of more just like
very innocent,
like legitimately coming of age, where it's like, I like this girl, but you hold hands or you maybe kiss in the room, and the dad's like, "As the door open."
In season 2, but Stranger Things, I wasn't actually criticizing for that because it's in a unique position of being a story about children that they grew to that age, which is why it's like, hey, that's what real 14-year-olds look like, everybody. They don't look like Michelle Gellar and Eliza Dushku. I was a big fan of Buffy, who like grew up watching that show and thought that those girls were really sexy even at the time, and now I guess still, even though I'm happily married. But I'm kind of happy that it's like, okay, I know that they were adults when they did this, so it's sort of still okay to be invested in the relationships in any, because it's a little bit weird as a grown person being like, oh man, I hope these two 14-year-olds hook up.
Yes.
It's really odd, very odd.
Distracted a little bit, then it can just be like, hey, we're telling you a story about a time that you definitely went through in your life if you are this old now. Think back to that, and also just Charisma Carpenter's in it, deal with it, you'll be fine.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. Wild Hunter put when Arya had sex in Game of Thrones, it just felt wrong.
Yeah.
And she looked so young. I know she was an adult. I think she was an adult at that point.
I think she was 18 at that point. Right. No, I agree. That was really weird. You're like, oh my God, because when you watched her, she was like 11 or something when the series started.
I was like, she's a baby. Don't do it to her.
I know.
Yuri and Sanborn with the $50. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Sorry, I don't have a clapping button like Gary does. Before this was a father and a grandfather. Now I am neither, but still a doctor. Pretty sobering stuff. Before, from Constantine and the Doctor. Also, the HD remasters didn't cover the VFX, sadly. I'm curious. Well, did he lose the kids because of the air raids or because of the disease? I forgot.
It could just be because of the war.
I thought it was the war. That was my guess.
Oh, okay.
Because if he was at the age that everybody probably would have gone off into the war.
Mhm.
Like his
Being a doctor, he'd be at a medical hospital of some kind, either a war
right.
hospital or
Yeah.
but his son and his grandson probably went to go
Front
fight.
war. I think that the character in himself, the selflessness that he kind of displayed, even though he was going into a decline, I thought that was a beautiful way to create such a very endearing person. And the way that his story ended up being wrapped up at the end when they're all cured and the doctor's like, just tell them that you did it. And the best part was that lady, she comes up to him.
Can I do this part?
Yes. It was really good.
Dr. Constantine, my leg's grown back.
And the doctor, what does he say?
In this hospital, I only have one leg and it's back.
He goes, "It's wartime. Did you count right?" Or something?
Is it possible you miscalculated?
That was such a good moment. I loved that so much. That was such a great way to lighten everything after such a heavy couple of episodes.
And they do it so well. Like this,
Yes.
the injection of humor isn't cringe. It's beautiful the way it happens. I don't like Marvel humor. It's what I go to nowadays. It's almost too much. It's like,
Yes.
you need to find a balance. I want this to be a serious scene. And then when they get to safety, like when they were getting chased by all the patients in the hospital and they were running away from the little kid and they're in that little room, then you can have a bit of humor. There's safety. But if they're having complete humor where it doesn't feel right,
It takes away from the levity of the situation.
absolutely. And I actually thought the whole part with the sonic, I forgot what it's called, the
Screwdriver?
gun, and then the screwdriver and the banana
That was funny.
it was like that type of humor was fine in that moment because it mattered to what was happening. They're like, "Oh, I got pickpocketed. I have a banana in my pocket now," because he puts the banana in.
Yeah, I did like that.
And I'm like, where'd that come from? And I'm like, oh yeah, the story. And the story about the Sonic factory being replaced by a banana farm. It was just perfect.
it was really fun. The doctor's like, "I like bananas. Bananas are good for you."
Yeah.
that was a
Don't throw the
terrible
banana away. It's a good
source of potassium. True. I eat bananas most mornings. They're great for you for a good workout. No cramps.
Yeah. And Ian puts a good point. Aaron, thank you again for the $50. Who is it? Ian, it says, is it humor? It's not exactly humor. I think it's very inventive writing. And it is a funny situation, but you weren't laughing at it per se.
Levity might be a good word for it.
Levity?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just
Yes.
a little thing in there to just lighten the mood a bit because
Yes.
this is a pretty heavy series of episodes up until
Mhm.
the most part.
Mhm.
Captain Jack and Banana.
Yeah. Now, this is a banana I'm okay, talking about, especially after last week. A whimsical banana.
I love a nice whimsical banana.
Oh gosh.
I want to know.
And oh my gosh. So what was it? So the first episode finishes with them kind of getting surrounded. The next episode starts with them kind of freeing themselves of go to your room. That line, very effective. They go to the patient 0 room. And did you notice right away when the tape stopped playing or
Mhm.
like finished and the film was like, and you can still hear "Are you my mommy?" And I'm just like, uh-oh.
Oh yes. Oh
Uh-oh.
yes. And I loved Rose being like, "What's that noise?" And he's like, "The tape ended." And that's when the doctor realized this is his room. This is where he was
Oh
first
my
brought.
God. And he's like, I told him to go to his room. And I thought that just the sequence of all that was just wild. Absolutely
Yes.
wild. I also loved when Rose and Jack, when he used his blaster, and what was it that she said to him? Rose like, "Oh, I like that blast pattern."
Yes. He goes, oh my God, what did he say? And she goes, I like it. As she's like walking in the door, Rose is like very sultry.
She's laying it on so heavy.
She's much better at flirting than I ever. Like, how I got anyone to marry me, I'll never know. Like, I don't know how she does that. I look at that and I'm like, how?
I feel like Marc has something to say.
What Billie Piper is a very charismatic woman, and I enjoy her acting.
It works so well, and like she has a nice way of like not being too slutty about it.
No, she's sultry, not slutty. That's what it is. She's like very. She just has like an energy about her. She sort of exudes the sexuality without having to dress in a way that's like, you know.
I know, like she can just giggle like a, and you're just like, oh my God, she likes it.
When was this? 2008 or was it
2004? Maybe
I think
2005. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so 2005. Me, if you put a girl that looked like Billie Piper with that accent in a Union Jack shirt in front of me, I would pretty much not even need to talk to her to know I'm into her.
That's all it takes. Nick's Doctor Who crushes Amy Pond.
Mark's like, I'm part of the Commonwealth.
Just a little bit hotter there. It's almost British, you see.
Marc, I don't think we should just speak like that when we're in the UK.
We don't speak like that anymore. We speak slightly less like the Canadians on South Park now, but this is pretty much how our accent sounds at its extremes.
Oh gosh, actually, you know what, Holocron, you're right. Jane's giggle is I don't think she means it to be flirtatious, but it feels like I'm attracted to that giggle, and it's the same with Rose. Like you just feel like I want to know more.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a straight woman, so I don't know.
It's that charisma, man. Sometimes some people just have it, and like there's something that draws you in about them.
Flirty but fun. Yes.
Exactly.
We got Urian Sanborn for another $10. Thank you so much. Urian says, everyone lives, Rose, just this once. Everyone lives. Ninth traveling with Rose literally heals his fractured soul from the events of the Time War. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
Because that's why he was so excited about it, is because he lost everyone in the Time War. He lost literally everyone, his entire race. And then he, through his adventures, he also loses people along the way. So in this one, he's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, and when he said the thing about the bike when she was 12 years old,
that was really
Christmas, because she's like, what are you, Father Christmas? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, oh.
Also, can I just say how much I love that they call him Father Christmas and not Santa?
Well, and that's another thing. That is another father-dad reference. That's why I think she like loves him so much, because he is a figure that she's never really had. They're not perfectly similar, but he has the youth with him that maybe her father didn't.
Each other very well.
I believe Father Christmas is a British thing, though, because that's what my grandparents on my mother's side used to call Santa Claus. And they're not British, they're Maltese, but they both immigrated to, or at least my grandfather emigrated to England, and then they kind of moved to Canada at around the same time. So I called them Nana, which apparently is something that the British people call their nans for grandmother. So.
Nana? Yeah.
Nana.
Yeah.
That's what I call bananas.
Yeah.
Nanners. I call them nanners. Nanners. Also says, bananas are good. Yes, they are.
Bananas are good.
Bananas in pajamas. I don't know why they're
coming down the stairs. Yes. Wow, I haven't thought about that in so long.
That's a good memory. Wow.
Well, I was reminded of it.
I need to hang on to that. Wow. Now I'm remembering them.
I posted on Twitter. I was like, thanks, Lizzo, for ruining bananas. And someone
Oh.
posted under that the bananas and pajamas. And I was like, oh, I love that.
Like,
No,
thanks for bringing it back. Thanks for bringing the
Mhm.
banana.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Another banana super chat. Andrew Matthews for £2 says bananas endorsed by Lizzo.
I'm missing something. I don't,
Oh, wait, you don't know?
Oh boy.
do I
Oh,
want
boy.
to?
Oh, there's a lawsuit that alleges that Lizzo made someone eat.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got you.
Okay, there we go.
He's like, I put that from my mind.
He
You
did not.
thinking about it on Poor Choices, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay? I'm caught up.
Yeah, it was also on
Terrible.
FNT too, unfortunately. But,
There were memories about bananas that I didn't necessarily need to be anywhere other than the archive. And back to the front.
Yeah.
I try to forget about it when I'm in the locker room with no tooth in, eating my banana.
I feel better about the bananas in the pajamas now, though.
Yeah, they're so cute, right?
I mean, I think they're weird, but they're not. They're not what they did.
Tricky for $5 says Billie Piper has the eyes.
Yep.
She can flirt with the camera with just her eyes. I'm seeing signs of America's Next Top Model. She can smize.
Smize.
Penny
Yes.
Smiling with your eyes.
Penny Dreadful is a show that has Billie Piper, Josh Hartnett.
Wait,
And-
Billie Piper is in Penny Dreadful?
Yeah,
That's
she's
on my list to watch
she's
forever.
the prostitute that gets syphilis.
Aww.
Well, I mean, it's part. That's not all that happens with her. I'll say that much. But
Okay, so you're telling me I have to watch Penny Dreadful. It's been on my list forever.
really good. And Ava Green is also.
Yes, she's another one that her eyes. She's also
Mhm.
like incredibly
And
attractive.
Timothy
It's
Dalton,
ridiculous.
who's he's one of the Time Lord. I guess Timothy Dalton's Xray Girl probably doesn't know who that is. It's an
No.
actor who plays a Time Lord in one episode at one point. But yeah, Timothy Dalton is also in Penny Dreadful. So maybe
I can see his face.
chances are it was probably an English production, and I'm guessing that it might have had some same studio involvement, which is why there's a fair amount of Doctor Who people that show up on that show, even though it's Showtime. So I guess technically it's American.
All right, I'm gonna have to watch Penny Dreadful then. I've been wanting to watch it forever. It's been on my list. I just have never gotten around to it. I didn't realize Billie Piper was in it
Yeah.
the whole time.
I'm Googling Billie Piper today, and it's so weird to see her with dark hair.
Whoa, she has dark hair now.
Well, I don't know if she currently has dark hair. This was the 2023 BAFTA Awards.
Don't you think she maybe always did naturally? Like her eyebrows are pretty dark.
That's true. That's a good point. Like she's not naturally
And,
blonde.
don't get me wrong. The
Uh-huh.
blonde hair, just like heavy blonde highlights and the dark eyebrows, I think made her really striking, especially. And that was very much in style during that time where I was a first year uni. And yeah, so that's the at the
Oh my god!
well, I mean, we do call it university here, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that would have been the time in my life where, like, a girl like her, if she walked by me, I'd be like, "Oh my god, what do I have to do to get her to talk to me for more than 3 seconds?"
Yeah. Well, like
She
yeah,
looks
look,
really
her eyebrows are
good.
so dark.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's fine. Like I said, she looks great, but I think that is, it's an indicator that she's.
That she might not naturally be blonde. That makes sense. Yeah.
Most people aren't natural blondes though, like less than 1%.
And also, even if you are like I had blonde hair my whole life, but as you get older, it gets darker. Like that's just what happens.
Darkens over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's such a flirt. Hey Mark, I'm sure you'd be okay flirting with Billie. I'll be okay flirting with Jack.
I mean, now I'm married to you, so I wouldn't flirt with either of them, but I could flirt with both of them. You can
Excuse me.
Jack,
Oh.
absolutely flirt with me. Are you kidding?
Oh my god, that
What?
little injection of little bit of gay in there. I thought that was perfect.
Did so well.
When Rose is like, I got this, I'll distract him, and then he goes, I know him. I don't think he would be into you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go distract him. I got
this. I just thought there was like a beautiful way to bring in diversity.
Yes, Yes, or just to showcase that, like, that has been, I mean, gay people have been around forever. So of course it's always been there. And I like this, like the subtle, sort of subtle way that
It's
they
so
bring it in.
subtle.
Yes.
It's
Of
not
like,
like an announcement.
It,
He's gay. I have to flirt with him. That could have been the line.
What's
Oh,
sort of
they would
interesting
do it
about
more.
it too is they bring it up in the way that I'm gonna guess also. I know I'm making a lot of abstract associations about other celebrities being into Doctor Who, but during the promotion for Solo, when Donald Glover was asked about Lando being pansexual, and his answer was, I mean, how can you not be pansexual in space? And I think this is from this episode, because it's basically the doctor starts saying, well, he's a 51st century man, you know, what happens, like space, there's just all these options, like why would you just want to be with a human woman? And then
Of
I
course.
is it Rose that says to him, so we leave this planet and then we decide, hey, what can I mate with?
Which, by the way, is exactly what would happen. Like,
Honestly,
there's no way.
Probably. Because we even
Right?
talked about that last week when they were like, the guy with the whole thing that opens, they're like, they're gonna definitely try to put the PP in there.
I
Of
mean, I'm having a lot
course.
of really complicated feelings about Karlach in Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think her and my character would make a good couple, because she's a giant demon cyborg barbarian woman, but there's something about her that's pretty awesome.
I mean, if you have a chance with a giant demon cyborg woman,
Mark's
you
like,
gotta go for it.
she's a
I mean,
cyborg
I don't
like
know that
me.
Well, I gotta say that did get me on side with her pretty quick. I was like, oh shit, she's not just a demon. Like that's that glowing in her chest isn't anything magic. It's like an Iron Man heart, effectively. But
That's cool.
made in a fantasy world, and she has a big battle axe, and she has a side shave haircut, but one of her horns is broken off, so it's almost like the side shave is like battle damage. And
All right.
appreciated that. I was like, hey,
All right.
that's nice.
Normally, I don't like that, but that works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I thought the world building made it feel less like a played out side shave and more like, hey, yeah, there's something about the character that requires that, or at least explains it, you know?
Yes.
Mhm.
I hated that.
I
look.
just I love the alien sexiness and how it's building up a whole world essentially, because I'm sure they're going to meet more and more aliens, and then that'll be probably something that we see relationships, I guess,
Yeah.
build.
Yes.
Who knows?
Oh,
I mean, I
we're
don't know.
getting very, very close to some cool stuff for Captain Jack.
I can't wait for the next episode.
So much.
What?
I said, are we? There's so much of it. We're either really close, we're close to some of it, but far away from a lot of it.
We were close to some of it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Far away from a lot of it, but
Yeah.
I think we're really close to like something big that happens. I think,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly.
And I like this guy more than the last possible
Adam?
interest. Yeah, Adam.
Yeah,
he was a
kinda
cool.
lame.
Well,
Yeah.
he was so selfish, whereas this guy, he obviously was not selfless. He left them in the hospital because he had to actually figure out how to do what he needed to save them. He had to turn off the navigation. That takes time. And I thought that was kind of a cool way to write the story of how, okay, the bomb's coming, but I guess I'll have to escape. But I can't bring you because I don't have time to fix the navigation and turn it off. And I'm like,
Yep.
beautifully written. You made an example at the beginning, and now you're bringing it back to that example and why this story, how the story is going to unfold correctly, because you know what's going to happen. But him saving, when he comes in and saves the bomb or gets the bomb.
And then when he realizes that has to die because the chance of him living is 0%, he's 100%,
God.
and he has to make peace with that.
Remarks-
And
My heart broke.
I know, and yes, and then he gets his martinis, like too much. See if I come back here again.
Yeah, he just goes like, he's like, initiate protocol for something, and I'm like, what is that? You don't have an escape pod. It's a drink.
It's a drink.
under the sink.
If I'm going out sloshed. Maybe that's what I would do if I knew I was gonna die. I'd be like, fall off the wagon. It's time.
I think considering the timeline, he was more just like, I'm not going to get sloshed. Just that one last drink I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
True. He had 3 minutes.
To the
Yeah.
point, the amount of vermouth, which I mean, I guess for a martini is a pretty minor complaint. It was like a little too much vermouth, but he was looking forward to this one so much that it not being perfect is something he noticed. And
Well,
Yeah.
when it's your last drink
Yeah.
ever.
And then he contemplates the whole like the last time he was put to a death sentence. I thought that was like such a great character building moment. He's like, I drank 4, I don't know, whatever drinks, and then ended up in bed with the executioner.
Lovely couple. That was so good.
I was like, oh yeah, he's a man sloot. That's okay.
Oh, yeah. Good for him though. He's out there having the time of his life. He's experiencing the galaxy. Good for him. Good for him.
Oh, and that it was so perfect when they saved him, because I was thinking of that. Like, I don't know how the TARDIS works. Obviously, he just moves a bunch of stuff and goes to a different time, but I didn't know, like, location wise, if he knew how to figure that out. And when he had the door and they were dancing, I was like, oh, the doctor's dancing and they're saving Jack, and I'm like, ah,
It's
I love
so
it.
sweet.
He
And
gets
then
to save everyone.
yes, he literally gets to save everyone. And then also we couldn't lose Captain Jack in this episode. You're like, you know you need to see him in more of the show because he's so good.
Absolutely. He is so good. He is like a good version of the Doctor, but more sexual.
Yes, more promiscuous and more maybe a little bit more free. I feel like the Doctor places
Yeah.
restraints on himself.
Well, and that might be because he's an actual Time Lord, whereas the Jack is human. So he has those human that human nature. And I
Right.
mean, he wasn't perfect. He created this whole con to get money. I guess he doesn't know about the Time Lords that all are gone. It's just the one left, and he wanted to pretend this vessel was something it wasn't, and then destroy it, and then still get money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he would get paid, but also he's trying to get his memory back. That's something too that we figured out. They took 2 years of his memory. So
Oh my
his
God,
quest
I'm
isn't just
excited
for
for that.
money. Yeah. It's just, it's for him to get his memory back as well. And so that's another great character building moment because it's like,
A little hint.
yes, he's kind of out for himself and he loves pleasure and all of that, but he does have motivations besides just, sex and money and things like that. He's trying to find out who he is. And that's kind of
Mhm.
cool that we get to go on that journey with him. It's like, oh, we get to find out who he is as he finds out who he is.
Yeah.
Rose has a great line that she says, I like him because he's like you, but with dancing.
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God. That like it broke
Yes.
my heart a little bit for the Doctor, because I feel like he wants to make her happy. And so it was so sweet when he like found his dancing feet and did the moves.
I also really liked the moment when she's talking about why is it the cute ones that always leave, and he goes, "Oh, thanks," and she's like,
Oh my
I meant men, I meant humans." He's like, "Oh, that makes it better then."
He's so lax with that language. He's okay with it, because I can see so many people getting like, "Oh, you," and I do this with Mark sometimes. Like I'll troll him a little bit, where I pretend to get mad, and like I'll be like, "Honey, why'd you say that? That hurts." And he's like, "I didn't mean it like that." I'm like, "But you did." And then yeah,
And then you're giggling. Mark's like, I know.
Okay, I'll try to act more like the Doctor. Okay, thank you, honey. So I didn't know this, that he was the main character in Torchwood. So this is kind of cool. We're learning a bit more. Maybe I'll go into Torchwood after
Torchwood's
Doctor
awesome.
Who, or is there like crossover? You know how like certain those DC shows? Okay, it's
No, you
just
can.
completely-
I mean, there are, but you like that the Asian woman that was like the Doctor in that one episode, or she was like, I guess I can't remember. She's in Torchwood anyway, is my point. So like there are like little moments like that you'll see throughout, but or at least a couple of them. But otherwise you can watch them one after the other. Like you don't have to watch them at the same time.
Doctor Who's also the kind of show that as long as you know the basic premise of, hey, there's a doctor It can travel through time in a machine called the TARDIS and space. And there's always a companion or a couple companions, depending on the season or the circumstance. If you know that, you can kind of watch almost any episode and understand it, as long as it's not the second part to a previous episode. In that case, that block of episodes. Otherwise, you might be a little lost. But for the most part, they're very, very episodic and standalone. And there are like season finales generally, and sometimes Christmas specials as well, will usually be things where they tie in a bunch of things that were hinted at through the season, or a bunch of characters from different episodes come together to tackle something together. And you get a little more out of those if you've seen those previous episodes. But ultimately, it's usually pretty well understood when it's like, hey, we're calling this guy. If you haven't seen the episode that guy was from, you can kind of do the math. That's like, okay, this guy was probably in one of the episodes I missed. Like,
Okay.
They're very approachable, is what I would say.
Okay, that's pretty cool. One other thing I kind of wanted to touch on, the om-com thing, and how the kid can do that, but then also the typewriter. I thought that was wild. That creeped me. Got goosebumps.
The typewriter thing was so creepy when she's sitting there in that moment. She goes, and I forgot the name of the kid. He's sitting right next to you. Then what's that noise? Then why is the typewriter still going? And they look over, and it's like, holy shit. I have expected to see the kid in the gas mask, but it was even creepier that he wasn't there and it was still typing.
I couldn't.
Ooh. So many great little elements and touches that just added to the whole thing. The whole experience.
The nano-genes, they enhanced like almost psychic abilities in this kid, because he could move the door.
Yeah,
he was super strong, could break through walls, which the super strong makes sense. The psychic I didn't think made as much sense.
Maybe because it was them trying to fix the brain.
Maybe because the injury.
Maybe that's my guess.
It's hinting at a higher power of the brain.
Yeah,
very interesting. And just the whole, I guess, is that a hive mind? Because even the kid wasn't there at the time when the doctor said go to your room, but obviously it affected him.
Yeah. It affected him because they're all, like he said, they're all the same. It's all him. Which is
wild. Yeah,
because they thought they were saving they thought they were fixing everybody by turning everybody into that little boy.
And I mean that the nano genes they're smart, but to a certain point. And as the doctor said, it's unfortunate that they came to this little boy who, I guess you can call the empty child because he was dead. They wanted to fix him, but because he wasn't alive, and the superior human, meaning alive, that they could only fix what they could, which is just like reanimation, a zombie essentially.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. But then what at the end, I love so much that it recognized the DNA in his mom.
Of the mom. Oh my God. That because when she hugged him, I was freaking out. I'm like, uh-oh.
From like a person who gets super autistic about media like me, when you think about just the plausibility of if these machines read a genetic code and are tasked with then reconstructing a species, those two having the same DNA but also being different people can plausibly, to me at least, explain, hey, that is what taught them, oh, okay, these are two different beings. This one is the parent, I suppose, of that one. We understand what humans are now, and we can do it properly, because clearly this one's way more alive than the one we found. They're normally supposed to be much more alive than this one.
Right. Yeah, it learned it that was such a cool moment and really, really explained everything so well. It tied everything together.
Absolutely. And I guess this would probably be the only thing that would save the writing if she had for some reason come in contact with that soldier, because the kid didn't find the mummy yet. I don't think that it would have worked. And then the human race would be, screwed.
Yes. And then the human race would all be a whole bunch of gas mask. Well, and then at that point, Hitler would probably win, and then they would have like the gas, whatever survived the gas, but it would just take over the whole world. And
It would,
be a gas
because
mask person.
it was airborne.
Yeah.
Like at first it was I call it
Through
contact.
touch. Yeah.
Contact precaution or contact transmission, and then maybe it became droplet, but then it just skipped right to airborne. You're like, holy crap, this thing is real smart. I mean, the nanobots are pretty much airborne. They look like they were flying.
Yes. Well, yeah, they're just like these little, they look like little fireflies. They were
It
actually
looked like
super cute.
dust, just like flying all around you. Little
Yeah.
fairy dust.
Yeah, little fairy dust. Exactly.
Yeah.
They were
Um,
cute.
And I did see someone in the chat earlier saying they are working on things like nanobots. Freaky.
Ooh.
Freaky.
Freaky, but I can't wait to see what they do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, chips in brains, chips in arms. I'm okay with it in a sense, depending on the safety of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm okay. I'm okay with it as long as they don't the government doesn't get involved too much. No
Yeah.
government, because they'll get up to some shady shit. I don't trust them.
Oh, no, I don't think no one on the internet I've met in this like sphere trusts the
Don't trust your government, kids.
like, sus. I mean, my prime minister is a Barbie lover, and I mean, your president looks like he could be an empty child too, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't even think he's there anymore. I don't believe for a second he does anything.
We spent a whole like simcast talking about Hunter Biden, and I was just like, I feel like I'm learning so much about him. I don't want to know it, but
it's a nightmare. At one point I just have to shut my brain off to it, because every time I see something or read it gets overwhelming, and I'm like, we're just fucked. We're totally screwed.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And I was like, this man is 53 years old. I don't understand that.
Crazy.
He's
Crazy.
old.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm making better life decisions. I hope.
I hope so too. On a positive note, my property taxes went down this year, so that is very exciting.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I saw that. I got the notice today, and I was like, "What?"
That is freaking awesome.
Very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's just so many good things that had happened in this episode. I wonder. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything. I don't know. Chat. Is there anything we missed? Anything you guys can think of right now?
I really like the scene where God, I actually forget who was it the doctor or was it Rose telling the mother of the kid that you win World War II?
Oh, it was Rose. It was Rose.
Rose.
Was it kind of a nice, because
to give her some
they
hope.
were fixing the fence that she had cut to get in to prevent the other people from getting in, and I think because the Nancy was so worried, and so she's like, I'll tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone. She's like, I'm from the future, and she goes, and this will show how smart Nancy is. You're not German. I'm born in this area, and I'm like, oh, this girl, and just further proving without saying she's smart that
she's smart.
She's smart.
Yeah, they show you. They don't tell you. That's what's so good about this writing.
I interpreted that a little differently. I thought that was her being defeated the way she said that, because she's like, I don't believe you. You're not German, and clearly we've lost. And then she's like, no, like I'm English, and you win. Like don't tell anyone, but the Nazis lose, and we win World War II. And then she's like, and then it kind of has a interesting reaction to it. So I thought that was like really, really well done, and it was pretty subtle, but I like that her assumption was like, no, if you were from the future, you'd obviously be speaking German, so you're not from the future. And she's like, no. It's like,
interesting. I like that.
One, I'm not a liar, and I was telling you the truth, and two, you win, baby.
You win. Gives her a little bit of hope. I feel like that was nice. Like she got some hope in a really dark time.
Yeah. Well, whoopsies for forgetting that. I apologize. I've only seen it once.
The person that was involved in that scene. I just remembered the
exchange.
Like writing more than the actual scene itself, even though it really, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Gosh. And I like what they mentioned Spock a few times in this episode or set of episodes. I like that Rose called him Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock. That was really good. I did like that. I like the little Star Trek tie-in.
And
When
they name dropped Doctor Who.
Yeah. I also really like the moment where the doctor is going to see the doctor. And there's that kind of moment where you're like, oh my God, who could the doctor be?
I thought it was Jack. I was just like, Nancy knows he's the doctor. There's another doctor that the doctor doesn't know about.
Well, what's really funny is it's the most obvious answer. It's like, no, it's a literal doctor.
An actual doctor. I know, right? But like with it being the show, I remember my first thought being like, oh my God, is there like another version of him? Yeah, is there another one? Like what's happening? And then you're like, oh, of course, it's a doctor.
Legitimately, a medical doctor had a
That makes sense.
facility.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
There aren't real life Batmen. So if you
Right.
and that's pretty specific. It's like
Right.
this Batman, and if you're Bruce Wayne hearing that, you'd be like, something's going on here. But
Yes.
Well,
right.
honey, it is 2023. People can be deers.
well, okay, but the doctor is
true.
a position title for us. It's a
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I work
always-
with a bunch of them.
I always
You.
love that episode of Friends where she's like asking Chandler about Spider-Man. She's like, why is it like Spider-Man? And he's like, well, it's not Phil. It's not a last name. Yeah, he's a Spider-Man. He's not like Phil Spider-Man. Like, I don't know. Why.
He was Spider-Man for that. Spider-Man actually is spelt with a hyphen, which
It is.
I kept forgetting throughout my entire life. And yeah.
Yeah, I would spell it always all over the place. Rather.
Batman and Superman are written as if they could be last names, like Batman and Superman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Superman. I'll take the man.
You Total Chad movie. Name your kid Clark Superman.
Oh my gosh.
actually
We got Andrew Matthews for £2 says Pompeii reference in this episode. Okay, so I don't know the whole Pompeii reference thing. It's the volcano day, right?
Volcano in Italy, and like at the end of the Roman Empire. Like
Yeah.
It exploded and caused
and,
it to go down?
and it preserved a lot of the village. Like it's a place you can go to and actually look at and see the architecture up. And there's a lot
I've never been to Italy. We should go, honey.
Yeah, I mean it's my homeland, or at least half of my homeland.
No, you're from the Malta area where
Malta-
all the Maltese dogs come from.
Oh yeah, it's me, the Maltese dogs, and the little snacks, but I don't like, for the record. But yeah, Italy is beautiful, and Pompeii is pretty cool.
I mean, I'd eat all the gelato and the pasta every day.
There's a brothel that you can go into in there, and you can actually pictures on top, like rooms.
Xray Girl's like, go on, keep digging your grave.
What did you see when you went there, honey?
A lot of stuff, but I just remember that being one of the funniest things I saw there. It's like, oh my God, of all things, even the art, which tells you this is the blowjob room. Like, no, that's what I mean. There's like diagrams. Like, it's
this is if you don't understand Italian. You can't miss it.
Latin at the time, but
Someone goes in there like, I thought this was the hot dog eating room. Is it not?
Oh my God. Or the banana room.
No. Okay, and an Italian brothel, the food of choice would always be grapes.
Great. Yes. Planning my vacation. Healer's going right now.
Hey, well, maybe Marc will see you there because apparently he knows about this place real well.
Marc, you've gotten yourself into a lot of trouble.
No, it's like it's a relic from the past.
That's so funny. That's so cool. Oh man, I want to go to Italy so bad. Nick is also Italian. That's so funny.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The place I would recommend the most. It's a good mix of Florence or Firenze, but it would be probably the best mix of really beautiful architecture, some of the best food you'll ever eat in your life, and it's not quite the tourist trap that places like Rome are that are really, really, really busy all the time. So
Okay, that actually sounds better.
It can kind of have a nice walk, and Milan's nice too, but it's more big city, I guess.
Right,
Oh,
right.
a big city. No, thank you. I try to get out right away when I go places.
It's a much different kind of big city than our big cities, though. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
pretty
wanna
beautiful.
go.
I will say Paris, even
never.
though it's a concrete jungle, it's very beautiful. The architecture is gorgeous, and same thing with London. I just
feel like
I don't like being there.
in so much of Europe, it's like that because they're such old cities and civilizations. I love that cool old architecture from like the
Mhm.
1600s. You're like, oh
Oh,
my God.
you should definitely go to Spain. I think you would love,
Ah,
like the city is
yes.
actually art.
Hey,
I
That
would
way-
love to.
I'll make a pitch for Maltese tourism. Valletta is one of the most Catholic cities in the world. So almost every street corner has like a big epic cathedral on it. It's pretty bizarre, but it kind of makes when you look around the rest of the country, you're just like, wow, all of the money that's in this country is in those buildings.
See, that's cool too, though. Like churches are cool just
They
because
are.
they're like
Yeah,
when you see those old, they're so beautiful. It's amazing. But you're right
Mhm.
because they put all of their money into those and nothing
Mhm.
else. That's so funny.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Daniel Anderson for 5 Australian. Thank you, Daniel. Says end season 4 big crossover with new details from Torchwood and Sarah Jane Smith series.
Season 4 would
I
be
vaguely remember
the
that.
last David Tennant series, or
Yeah.
the
I'm pretty sure that's the last. So
Oh.
David Tennant is season 2, 3, and 4.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
And
it's
then
Matt
5
Smith.
is with Matt Smith.
Oh yeah. There's a bunch of
Mm.
and they make reference to it, but you can understand it. It's like, okay, there's an organization called Torchwood that deals with some Doctor Who shit. Like,
Yeah.
there are
Uh-huh.
other people that deal with Daleks and Cybermen.
Is it like I don't know? Do we find out more in Doctor Who about the Torchwood stuff, or is it just like
You find out as much as you need to know to understand Doctor Who. So
Yeah.
you don't need to watch Torchwood to understand it, but if you want to watch Torchwood, it's there and it'll have little ties to a couple episodes.
That
Yeah.
is cool then. I'm glad that they do that. And I will say, I keep saying this, the writers are so smart. They put just enough and the right amount of information in the right order in order to make it so interesting.
Yep. I agree.
Mhm.
So
With
Thank you,
Buffy and
Daniel.
Angel, for Buffy and Angel, you do kind of have to watch both. There's a
A bit of
lot
both.
in those.
Okay.
We will see.
Okay.
There's probably on like a Reddit list on best way to watch Buffy and Angel.
Oh, no, it's just once you start season 4 of Buffy, start season 1 of Angel at the same time, and just watch episode for episode, and you'll always be
Oh,
almost
that's
like
easy.
each episode is being 2 hours long. There's a Buffy part and an Angel part every week.
Part 1 and
okay.
part 2.
Here's
Thank
what's going on in
you.
Los Angeles. Here's what's going on in Sunnydale. Like that's
Is Sunnydale in California?
Sunnydale, California is where
I
Buffy
didn't know
takes
that.
place. I don't think it's a real place. I think it's like a fiction
Oh.
town. But the deal is Angel leaves Sunnydale at the end of season. I guess spoilers for Buffy. He leaves at the end of season 3.
How dare you?
You know he has his own show, and I was telling you that they
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
and kind of starts almost similar to the Torchwood thing. He starts an agency with him. It's like a detective agency where it's, hey, if you've got like a supernatural problem, come to me and I'll figure it out. He becomes Dante from Devil May Cry. Gamers out.
I don't know that. Andrew Matthews for 5 British pounds says an officer and their Batman was the relationship Sam and Frodo was based on. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
Wait,
know
what?
that. That's cool. So Batman did come before.
I was going to say, how does the timing work on that? Is that true? That's
I don't know.
wild.
Chat.
Wait, does he mean Batman like an actual like a deputy? Because they have batons.
Maybe.
I
Makes
might be reading British where there is no British. But
well.
totally
We might need a bit more clarification on that.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm very confused.
Oh gosh. Oh, here we got some information why there were pictures. Apparent literacy in ancient Rome was around 5 to 15%, which was very, very good for the time. Which is why you need graphic signs. There you go.
This makes sense. Okay.
Mhm. Thank
But
you, Russ.
The crazy thing isn't necessarily that the signs exist. The crazy thing is those signs were built to survive a volcano.
They were
Yeah,
like, you
true.
need to know this is where you come for
Hey,
the blowjobs.
the,
Okay?
the blowjobs sell, not the books.
This is true.
Hey, I mean, old school craftsmanship, I guess.
Ah,
Oh,
so
Batman
Andrew
was
says the
oh.
Batman was their personal servant.
Yeah.
There
Oh.
we go. Okay. All right. That makes more sense because I was
I knew
like,
it.
wait, what? I was very confused by that. I was like, how does this work? Okay, that makes sense.
All
The
right.
Batman's basically a squire there as he tucks in.
Okay. I was thinking I'm Batman. It didn't work. But,
Batman. That's what I
um,
thought too.
so let's wrap up this episode of amazingness. This was so fantastic. Thank you, Marc, for joining us, by the way. I guess we can start with Marc. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Mark the Cyborg, which is a YouTube channel, and also on Human Cyborg Relations, which is a YouTube channel that I run with Xray Girl here. She is my real life human wife, and I am her partially real life cyborg husband.
I'm going to be using nano-genes on you soon.
I mean, I'd be up for it. Could you fix my ankle ligaments in the left side are shit. So honestly, the left side
Just
and
fix anything.
well, I mean, it's why I'll always have. I don't want to lose my other leg. For the record, I definitely do not want to. It sucks.
He makes a joke about it.
Not necessarily a joke. It's just my bright side. If that ever happens, is okay. My left leg kind of sucks anyway. So now maybe at least the robot parts will be as good as each other. And B, I can crank myself up a couple inches because I'm a short person. You can't do that when you only have one.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, but if you lose both, why not? I mean,
Just make it a little longer. You know what? That's a good point.
don't go crazy. Just do a little bit. So because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of problems with like
The
balance.
length of your lower legs being like oddly longer than your femurs would be wild.
Not just that, I think at a certain point you're really going to cut into your agility if you try to go to like 6'4" from my height. No.
Are you on stilts, sir?
I'm like 5'7" to 5'10" or something like that. Like,
There you go. That's reasonable.
Oh my goodness. Zia, where can people find you?
It's just Zialand everywhere. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it's at Zia_land, XIA_LAND. And then I have YouTube, Kick, and OnlyFans, and it's Zialand on all of those things. Just all one word, XIALAND. You can find me in all those places.
Perfect.
That's
Thank you. And I'm so appreciative of you guys making me watch this in your little 4D chess way. It was amazing, and I'm still enjoying it. So each episode, I actually look forward to Mondays a lot because of good Doctor Who is, and it's good to talk about good shows.
Yes, I know. It's so nice. It's so nice to just enjoy something for once. I've been watching Doctor Who, and I just put the extended version of Lord of the Rings on last night because I was feeling sad. And you know what? It just makes me so happy.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Zia, can I give you a show recommendation that I
Yes.
think you might actually take because I've not recommended many things to you? Xray Girl. The Venture Brothers. It is
I've seen Venture Brothers. Nick loves Venture Brothers. Yeah. Venture Brothers. He also loves Adventure Time. And so I've seen definitely a fair amount of it. Great show.
Have you seen the movie that came out?
No. Nick, have you seen the Venture Brothers movie that came out? Have you seen the Venture Brothers movie that came out?
Came out like a week ago. Yeah.
Came out like a week ago.
You should watch it.
Marc said you should watch it. It's great.
Radiant is the blood of the baboon heart is the title of the movie. It was
okay. You definitely have to watch that then. Nick's over there nodding. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So you can find me here on this channel. And next week for the next episodes of Doctor Who, we will be on Zia's channel, 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's just check out the titles of these episodes. We got 3 episodes left till the end of the season. Maybe we should go through all 3.
We could.
Called Boomtown, Bad Wolf.
Yep.
Wait, Wolf's not the last episode?
Yep.
And the parting of the ways, unless that's just
okay, yeah.
That's the Christmas special, right?
Yeah.
Oh, should we watch the Christmas special or save it? I don't know.
No, watch it.
No, we have to watch it.
Yeah, so all 3 episodes.
Yeah, you're gonna be going year for year if you always save the Christmas special for Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll be 3 episodes, guys. So yes, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And we will see you guys next week on Zia's channel. So bye.
Bye, Rick. Thank you, Jackie.